Contact with the first Europeans in South Carolina passed on diseases that killed many Native Americans. Many of the traders were also cruel and dishonest, causing the Indians to retaliate in kind. Halfway along the trading path from Congaree to Savannah Town near Ridge Spring, Mary and her husband Isaac Gloud retired from trading to settle near the Little Saluda River.
Two Savannah Indians came to my house about dark and sat down very civil, and my husband, being able to talk their tongue, they talked a great while together, and I gave them supper. We all sat up until midnight, and then we all went to sleep. When the cocks began to crow, they came and shot my husband through the head, and struck me with a tomahawk under my right arm and upon the left knee. I, lying still, they supposed I was dead, and one of them went and killed both my children, and plundered ye house of all that was valuable, and went off. In that bad condition I have lain among my dead 2 days, and by ye help of providence, one of my horses came to the house, and so I came here. Mary Cloud.
During the Yamasee War, the British Army drove many small tribes away from the region. The Saluda Indians were gone by the time whites settled there in the 1700s. English, German, Scots-Irish, and French Huguenot families had journeyed down the Great Wagon Road from Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia. Their Bible was their moral compass. Scots-Irish from Virginia moved onto the Cherokee borderlands, growing corn along waterways just like their Native American neighbors. But conflicts arose between them.
The Englishmen and Scotchmen I have been long acquainted with and have always found them to be good men. But these Virginians are very bad people, and they pay no regard to your laws.
Invention of the cotton gin in the 1790s drastically changed the history of South Carolina and of the Gulf states, and probably of slavery in North America. The need for a slave workforce to make it profitable. So with cotton, you had a plantation economy. Some had large plantations, some had only a few acres, and maybe started out with one slave, and they would try to add more. Land was cheap. The idea was just get more land, and when land ran out, we'll just abandon it. When the United States had extinguished the rights of a number of Indian groups to the Gulf Coast states, so immigrants from South Carolina began pouring out of the state by the thousands, looking for economic opportunities, and many of such young men and their families and others ended up in Mexico's territory that we call Texas. East Texas is really a South Carolina colony. They had laws against slavery. They had laws saying that these new settlers should be Catholic and not establish Protestant churches. The settlers ignored these laws, and Mexico had a very spotty record about enforcing them. And soon there were more Anglos than there were Mexicans living in Texas, and this led to the War for Texas Independence and the great battle at the Alamo, which is such an iconic symbol of the struggle. And a number of South Carolinians were there, but the two that are most famous are Bonham and William Barrett Travis, who end up being martyrs there to the cause of Texas independence. And remember, the Alamo became a rallying cry. But in the midst of this Texas patriotism, when the Texans got a constitution, the new Texas Republic Constitution protected slavery. So the plantation economy, the commitment to cotton, to slavery as a workforce, had moved across the Gulf states and established itself in the new Republic of Texas, and it becomes an issue when Texas is made one of the states, becomes part of the Union.
Lucinda Horn followed her husband, a Confederate soldier, to battlegrounds where she nursed the sick and wounded. Adam Logan Wise in the Denny Company of Saluda carried a Bible. Religious fervor was high in the ranks of both Northern and Southern armies, and Baptist missionaries gave Bibles to the Confederate troops. Both sides thought God was supporting their cause. James Butler Sudath, who later would become a senator, fought as a private also of Denny Company.
Dear brother, once more I am inspired to write to you. Taking the Baltimore road, we marched to the little town of Gettysburg, where was fought the greatest battle of the war. The enemy was on a very high hill, and we went forward, but it seemed to me that my life was not worth a straw. 60 cannons poured a deadly missile into our ranks. Many of our neighbors were left in the hands of the enemy, but a great many more was left on that bloody field. James Butler Sudath.
Dave Graham became the first black congressman from Saluda. His house on Red Bank Creek had belonged to Revolutionary War Colonel Zebulon Rudolph.
Before I was minister, I've been a carpenter and mechanic and helped build every bridge in the county, almost. The white people liked me very much until I got into politics, and they have hated me ever since. The Democrats told me to quit politics and go to my trade, and they'll give me work. I'd rather farm than be in politics. I want to get out of politics. These other fellas can't get along without me. If all the colored men was rich here, how would the white man get his labor? He couldn't get it as cheap as he gets it now. It was for his interest to keep us poor. David Graham.